Okay, we'll carry on with the Committee of Adjustment meeting. Welcome on YouTube if anybody's there. I first need approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Minutes from September 5th, Committee of Adjustment meeting. And minutes of October 3rd. You need separate motions or they can do them in one? For the minutes, one. Okay. Minutes from October 3rd, 2023. Minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meetings, September 5th and October 3rd be approved. Can I get a motion? Rob? Go ahead, Rob. Okay, approve or all in favor? Approve, thank you. Now we'll start with the notice of public hearing. There's two applications here. They're basically the same. I'm gonna just read it once, but we will need to make two decisions after the fact. So, notice of public hearing for application for minor variance, file A0124 and A0224. Sim Farms and Diane Cynthia Vanert, Simon Vanert, agent. Location of property 6588 Quaker Road and 6310 Quaker Road to allow livestock barns with their associated manure storage to be built on either side of the property line with the corridor connecting the barns. This corridor will run across the property line and will allow sharing of facilities between the barns. The proposal necessitates variances related to the regulations associated with agriculture, A1 zone and MDS2 required setbacks, but more specifically, the proposal would result in a rear yard setback of approximately 0 meters, where approximately 7 meters is required for the A1 zone. MDS2 calculations require approximately 30 meters setback from the nearest lot line, where the approximately 9 meters is proposed. Take notice that an application on the above file will be heard in Committee of Adjustment May 7th, 2024 at 4:30 p.m. at the Warwick Township office. Any persons may attend the public hearing and make written oral representation either in support or in opposition to the proposed minor variance. Secretary should read the dates and places of the notice of public meeting.
Notices were sent by regular mail and posted on the properties on April 18th, 2024.
Secretary to read letters submission supporting or opposing the application.
There was one submission received from the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, and they have no concerns with either one of the applications.
I'll now ask Jared, the planner, to read his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, and members of the public. I'm Jared Preston. I'm the planner for the County of Lambton and also filling in at the Township of Warwick. Both of these files today are separate files. So even though they are the same for the same owners, the two different properties, they are separate files. But I put them together just to make things a little bit clearer today. So the applicant is Sim Farms, being represented by Simon Vanert. Got correct. And we're looking at two properties here owned by the same owner, 6588 Quaker Road and 6310 Quaker Road. So the applicant is seeking two minor variances to allow for two livestock barns and their associated manure storages to be built on either side of the property line with a corridor connecting the barns. The corridor will run across the property line and allow the sharing of facilities between the barns. So just to repeat again, I know the chair brought it up in the notices. The first variance is going to be the same for both properties. So variance 1 is going to be to decrease the rear yard setback of the A1 zone from the required 7 meters to 0 meters. And that is for the corridor. And some people call it a hallway, but we called it a corridor in this map. The second one is required for the MDS2 relief, going from the required 30 meters to 9 meters for the manure storage building to the rear property line. And that was made by doing the MDS2 calculations for these barns, as I will describe later in more detail. As a requirement of planning staff, we do visit each site. So we can go to the site photos. This is the site photo of the existing single detached dwelling on 6310 Quaker Road. The second photo is showing an existing barn on 6310 Quaker Road. This is a site photo of the area of the proposed layer barn. It's just a general area. It's not the exact area. Again, this is the one on 6588, just the general area where the proposed layer barns are going to go. This is a site photo of the existing fill tanks on 6588 Quaker Road. And this is a site photo of an adjacent farm property across the road. This aerial photos was taken using our Lambton County GIS maps. And it's showing the proposed area and of the two addresses for this proposed development. They're both zoned agricultural 1A1, and the proposed layer barns are permitted uses for this property. This is showing a more specific diagram of the proposed minor variances. So you see that the proposed barn on 6588 Quaker Road is highlighted in purple there. And the proposed barn for 6310 Quaker Road is highlighted in orange there. And the manure storages are highlighted specifically right beside those barns, as you can see in the picture. And then the hallway corridors are highlighted in red. And then bolded in black are the measurements as well for the proposed variances. Okay, so upon review, planning staff looked at these both properties the same, as they're asking for the same variances, and they're basically the same proposal. So we found that both proposals are consistent with applicable policies. So Planning Act, provincial policy statement, the county official plan, the Warwick official plan, and the Warwick zoning bylaw. The application met the 4 tests of a minor variance. And we found that the proposed layer barns meet all other setback, height, and lot coverage provisions and MDS2 requirements. And to go with a little more detail on my application, I had pasted a chart of the MDS diagrams and calculations that we are required to do as planning staff. So for the 6588 Quaker Road barns, the minimum setback that the barns are allowed to be from the nearest residential property is 178 meters. The proposed barn would be 792 meters approximately. So it clears that. And then for the manure storage, the minimum required is 178 meters, and it would actually be 773 meters. So for 6588, there's no issues there in terms of building setbacks or manure storage setbacks. And then the issue with 6310 Quaker Road is you have a storage setback. You got building setback of 348 meters that's required, and it's actually 671. So you got no issues there with the building setback for 6310. And then the storage setback of 348 meters is required, and it's actually 734 meters. And that's listed just in the chart at the back of my report. The one variance that is being requested, the MDS2 that I found, was for the nearest lot line. So in this case, the rear lot line. For storage buildings, they have to be manure storage buildings. They have to be at least a minimum of 30 meters. And the proposal here is for 9 meters away from the rear property line. And that's where the variance came in here. Yeah. Yeah, outside. It was the rear. That was just a correction that was made on the notice. So I'm going to go through each recommendation separately. They have the same conditions, but because they are separate files and separate properties, you just got to go over them separately. So the first one is that planning staff recommends that Warwick Township Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application A01-2024 at 658 Quaker Road, subject to the following conditions. And I'm just going to read them out. That the first condition is that the applicant would have to get into an agreement with the township saying that the corridor would be destroyed if any of the parcels are sold to a different owner. Right now, they're owned by the same owner. The corridors would be permitted there upon our recommendation, but if anything were to change, that's where this condition comes in. Second condition is a building condition from the County of Lambton's Building Department. That formal building code review will take place at the time of permit application. This will include all spatial separation and limiting distance reviews, and fire rated building materials may be required due to proximity to the adjacent lot line. Third condition is that any new driveway accesses are to be approved by the Township of Warwick and shall be obtained prior to building permit issuance. The fourth condition is made by a professional arborist, and they want this condition to be put in to maintain the tree protection zone. They call it a TPR. The proposed building should be set back at least 3 meters from the woodlot perimeter. The second recommendation is that planning staff recommend that the Warwick Township Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application A02 2024 at 6310 Quaker Road, subject to the same conditions as the same property. So I won't read out those conditions since they are the same as the previous one. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and feel free to ask any questions if you have, or concerns if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Simon or Dan, do you have any comments or to make or questions? You see, there's nobody here from the public for questions. I'll now ask the committee members if they have any questions or comments. Wayne?
Yeah, the only, the wood lot, so you're gonna be 9 meters away from the wood lot? Is that what I understood?
Yep.
So you'll be maintaining that wood lot, and you'll be 9 meters away from it, by the looks of it, it's the manure storage building.
We had an arborist out, and I believe she had 3 meters, and
Oh, I'm sorry.
and we meet that 3 meters with, I believe, 3.5 meters.
Okay, so, but that wood lot will be maintained.
Yep,
Okay.
correct.
We're not gonna touch it.
Yeah,
Thank
she
you.
requests 3 meters, and we're about 3.5 meters.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you, John.
Anybody else in the committee? Dave? Rob? John? Okay. I have no further questions. As there are no further questions, the committee hereby closes this portion of the meeting. Notice of the decision will be mailed out within 10 days from the date of the committee's decision. The appeal period is 20 days after the date of the decision is mailed. After that date, if there are no appeals filed, then the application becomes final and the property owner will be sent a notice. Thanks everyone for coming. The committee like to make a decision now.
Yeah, I'll like to make a motion that the committee approve A-01-2024, subject to the conditions and recommendations from Jared and the planning department at the county level, and that's at 6588 Quaker Road.
And a seconder? Wayne? All those in favor? Carried. Anybody want to make a decision on the second file? Wayne, go ahead. Seconder? Dave? All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you all for coming. For any other business? Need somebody to adjourn? John, seconder, Dave do. All those in favor? Carried.